Okay guys, so ano yung napansin nyo dun sa video? Makikita nyo dyan na yung ice ay unti-unting nagme-melt. Then at the end of part, yung nag-melt na ice na naging liquid, naging solid uli. So, ibig sabihin lang yan, yung process na yun ay reversible. Ibig sabihin, pwede mong ulitin, pabaliktad. Okay, later, malalaman nyo kung bakit nag-backward yung video kasi i-discuss ko yung physical tsaka chemical change. Let us have another video.
People don't really understand it until you actually see it coming at you in a wall of flame. Fire still
Fast
came
forward
at
na
us,
natin.
etc. to actually cars blowing up before the fire even devastated by this.
Okay, kung mapapansin nyo sa video, pagkatapos, lahat nung dinaanan ng apoy, naging abo. Okay? So, sir, anong kinalaman nun sa susunod nating lesson? Okay, just like what I have told you, changes in the phases of matter. Meron tayong dalawang changes sa matter. We have the physical and the chemical change. Now, let us have this discussion. I want you to listen first. Then, tsaka ko ngayon isa-summarize sa inyo kung ano yung sinabi ng video.
People don't really.
Today we are learning about physical and chemical changes. Now, a physical change is a change in the size, shape, or state of matter of a substance. The important thing is that in a physical change, no new substance is being created. Take this piece of paper, for example. If you grabbed a pair of scissors and cut the paper in half, well, now the paper would be a different shape, but it's still just paper. You haven't created any new substance, and so cutting is just an example of a physical change. Here's another. No matter what you do to this ball of slime, whether you pull it, push it, twist it, or bend it, it's still just a ball of slime. So pushing, pulling, bending, and twisting are all just examples of physical change. Here's another. If you take an ice cube and put it on a hot pan, you can see it quickly melt into a puddle of water. But even though the puddle looks very different than the ice cube, they're both just types of water. No new substance is being created, and so the melting of an ice cube is just a physical change. In contrast, a chemical change is a change in which one kind of matter changes into a different kind of matter. Say instead of cutting the paper, we decided to take a candle and burn the paper. Well, as you watch the paper burn, what you're seeing happen is a chemical change. A new substance is being created. When you burn paper, the paper is turning into both ash, which you might see on the floor, and the smoke that you see going up in the air. And because paper is turning into these new substances, this is an example of a chemical change. Here's another one you've probably seen before. Fireworks are an example of a chemical change. Fireworks are made by taking an explosive powder like this and lighting it on fire. This turns it into the bright gases and explosions you see in the air. And because the powder is turning into these exploding gases, this is an example of a chemical change. Now here is one more you're definitely familiar with. You can watch as we pour baking soda into a cup of vinegar. Do you see all those bubbles filling the cup? That's a gas or a new substance being created. And because something new is being created, this is an example of a chemical change. Now there's some signs or clues we can look for to tell if a chemical change has taken place. First, you can look for a change in color, like we saw with the fireworks, when the dark powder turned into bright explosions. You can also look to see if the change produced a smell. Another clue is if it releases gas, like we saw happening during that baking soda and vinegar reaction. Finally, you can look for a change in temperature. And we're not talking about temperature that changes the state of matter. We're talking about if you do something and it releases a lot of heat, like an explosion. Let's look at some of these together. Watch as this person cracks an egg into a bowl. Well, which of the following clues for a chemical change do you see happening? Well, the color is not changing, there's no smell released, there's no gas released, and the temperature is not changing. In fact, all that's happening is we're changing the shape and size of the egg. So cracking an egg is an example of a physical change. What about when we put that egg on a pan and start to cook it? Well, what signs of a chemical change do you see happening here? You can see that the color is changing as the egg goes from clear to white. Also, if you were standing in the room, you could probably smell the egg because it's producing a smell. These clues show us that cooking an egg is a chemical change. What about this? Watch as this person swings an axe and cracks this piece of wood in half. What type of change is this? Well, nothing new is being created. The log is just being split into two pieces, and changing the shape or size of something is an example of a physical change. Now here's one more. This is a close-up video of metal rusting. It takes place over several days. What clues do you see happening here? Well, you can see a change in color as the metal becomes red and brown, and this is a clue that the rusting of metal is a chemical change. Now it's time for you to practice on your own. Watch as this person smashes an ice cube. What type of change is taking place? Well, all this person is doing is changing the size and shape of an ice cube. This is a physical change. What about this? What change is happening when you burn wood in a fireplace? Well, you can see that the wood is changing color. It's becoming white and black as it burns. This is also releasing a lot of heat. These are some indicators that this is a chemical change. What about this? When you boil a pot of water on the stove, what type of change is happening? Well, when you boil water, the liquid is turning into a gas. But changing the state of matter is not creating a new substance. A change in the state of matter is just a physical change. And now here's one last one. When I cut this cucumber into thin slices, what type of change is happening? Well, this one was pretty clear. Nothing new is being created. All that's happening is the shape of the cucumbers changing. This is an example of a physical change. So from today, remember, physical changes are changes in size, shape, or the state of matter. But with a physical change, no new substance is created. In contrast, a chemical change is a change where one type of matter changes into a different type of matter.
Okay. So, based sa panood nyo, guys, so, pinapakita dito na there are two changes in matter. We have the physical and chemical change. Maraming binigay na examples. Okay? I-summarize natin siya kasi medyo marami. Summarize natin para mas madali nyo maintindihan. Okay. When we say physical change, there is no change in matter itself sa substance niya sa loob. So, walang nababago. Ano lang ang nababago? Yung kanyang size, shape, tsaka yung state of matter. So, ano yung state of matter niya? Yung pagiging solid, pagiging liquid, or pagiging gas. So, hindi nababago yung mga yon. Okay? Ano naman, sir, yung chemical change? Pag sinabing chemical change, there is a new substance form. Okay? Yung dating substance, after nung change na yon, nabago na siya. In what way, sir? Yung composition, nabago na yung pinakalaman or composition ng isang object. Okay, for example, yung mga pinakita kanina. Okay? Sir, kailan namin masasabi, upon these changes, kailan namin masasabi na chemical change siya, sir? So, ito yung mga dapat yung tandaan, guys, or dapat yung makita during this event. Okay? Signs of a chemical change, una, there must be change in color. Kung makikita nyo kanina yung sinunog na papel, okay, after nung change na nangyari, yung papel, hindi na siya white. Okay, naging abo na siya or ash. Okay, that is a sign na mayroong chemical change. Another, it produces smell. Then also, it releases gas and also, there is a change in temperature, not including yung change in states, ha? Alam nyo yung states, di ba? Ito yun. Solid, liquid, gas. So, ito yung mga signs na merong chemical change. Okay, let us have this one. Okay, for example, based on napanood nyo, okay, we're going to identify whether it is physical or chemical change, then yung reason. So, pag sinabi nating physical change, new substance is formed mostly irreversible or no new substance is formed. So, kapag sinabi nating physical, no new substance is formed. Okay, mostly it is reversible. Naalala niyo yung kanina, yung melting ng ice, yung unang-una natin ginawa. Nakikita nyo, di ba sabi ko sa inyo, malaki yung part nun sa discussion. Pwede nating i-reverse yun. From ice to water, then water to ice. Okay, ibig sabihin, reversible, pwede nating baligtarin yung process. Okay? That is an example of physical change. Pag chemical change naman, there is a new substance form. May bago. Okay? Then, irreversible to. Pag sinabing irreversible, pag inulit mo yung process na yun, hindi na siya babalik sa dati niyang itsura. Okay? Yun yung tinatawag nating chemical change. For example, burning of wood. Okay? Is it physical or chemical? If your answer is chemical, yes, it is correct. Okay. So, sir, ano pong magiging reason namin? Unang-una, the first reason is this one. There is a new substance formed or irreversible. Sir, paano namin masasabi na siya ay chemical change? Unang-una, there is a new substance form, yung ash. Okay, pangalawa, nakapag-produce tayo ng heat and light. So, isa rin yun sa mga reason para masabi natin na merong chemical change. Okay? Another, next, dissolving sugar. Okay. So, if your answer is physical, yes, it is correct. Pag dinisolve natin yan, yung sugar, nandun pa rin sa tubig. Sugar pa rin yun. Pero nasa liquid form lang siya. Okay? From solid or granules sugar into liquid sugar. Sugar pa rin siya. So, walang nabago. Nagets nyo, guys? Okay, it's up to you to do the next activity. Okay, evaporating water. So, kung napanood yung video kanina, meron yan. Rusting of iron. Then, vinegar added to baking soda. Okay, now, another is, identify natin itong mga to. Painting the wall. Tingin nyo, ano siya? Physical, chemical. So, that is physical change. So, wala naman tayong binabago pag nagpipaint tayo ng wall. Natatabunan lang yung wall, pero hindi nababago yung itsura ng wall. Okay? Hindi nababago yung composition ng wall. Next, frying an egg for breakfast. Pinakita to kanina. Yes, very good. This is a chemical change. Next, mixing pebbles and marble. Paghaluin daw natin yung mga malilit na bato tsaka holin. Physical, chemical. Yes, it is physical. Physical siya kasi hindi naman nabago yung itsura ng pebbles, hindi rin naman nabago yung mga marble. Basta naghalo sila. Next, boiling water in kettle. Pinakita to sa video kanina. Okay, this is also physical. Sir, bakit physical? Yung water, nabago lang naman siya ng kanyang state from from liquid magiging gas. Okay? Pero, water pa rin yung naging gas. Next, grilling of pork. Okay? So, this is chemical. Unang-una, there is heat. Okay? Then, new substance form. Merong mga nasunog na part. Okay? Now, it's up to you to do the rest. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.